here we are. Hope it doesn't mess up this time, StreamYard, if you're listening.
Oh yeah, we're gonna fire you live on the pod because you were blaming StreamYard, but really it's your hands.
We didn't lag in our like post pod talk, so I don't think it was any of us.
What did it sound like? How was it messed up? I didn't even
completely cut off. It was it like almost how movies like dramatize like bad connection issues, like how they make it like super like ooh beep boop bop bop, and then it cuts off at the end.
Hang on. I could use that.
Yeah, write it down.
You're
Write
really
it down.
good.
Got that?
Hang on a second. That was good.
Have you thought about another career, CJ?
I like it.
I've been pondering it. I'm trying to maneuver it into my brand slowly but surely. But
Good.
yeah, so I had the last like 20 seconds were cut off of last pod, so I had to jump in and really take over and produce things at the end there for the Spotify listeners.
All right. Well, we might as well do this fucking thing. The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Sign up for DraftKings Sportsbook using promo code RTRS. On the show today, this was an unplanned podcast. We hadn't planned on doing one until after the game on Monday, but the last 10 years have been full of little surprises. Today's is that Joel Embiid has a fracture in his face and a mild concussion and is out at least 5 days and perhaps more as the Sixers are on the verge of their second round series with the Miami Heat. Without any further ado, Amos and the Chef.
We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We was right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We were right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. Say the name.
Oh boy. I am Spike and that is Mike and this is the Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast. I got a text from Mike O'Connor the night of Game 6. And it was, I guess Embiid did a quick little conversation with the national TV staff after the game and mentioned his face. But Mike said, uh-oh. And he said, his face looks really puffy. And he said, I wonder if he broke the same thing he broke in his face before. And then we are just fucking sidelined, like just out of nowhere, the Shams tweet. I just was not expecting it, wasn't thinking about it, that Embiid has a broken orbital bone and a mild concussion. We've had reports since then. John Clark had one this morning that they don't believe it needs surgery, and Ramona Shelbourne said the same thing. Even so, he's out 5 days with concussion protocol, which takes him through at least through game 1, I assume.
5 days from when?
Well, I would imagine since from when he got the concussion.
Okay.
Right. So that definitely puts him through game 1, would allow the possibility for game 2 with a broken bone in his face.
And it's the other orbital bone.
Right.
The first one he broke on Markelle Fultz's shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
A couple years
Markelle
ago.
Fultz's previously so-called injured shoulder. Right.
That's right. That's right. There's just so much history between. I feel like we're like on Star Trek. And it's like, this is actually, I'm not going to have a Star Trek specific, but it feels like a long-running science fiction show where every little piece of a thing has a historical and mythological significance.
It's like the Marvel universe.
Which led to this, which led to that.
Yeah.
I feel so bad for Embiid. I just feel so bad for Embiid, who just
it's got to be painful for
you know,
happen again like this.
on one hand, you say, okay, here's this guy who is blessed with incredible skill, then takes that and turns that with his work ethic into an incredible career where he's one of the best basketball players in the world, makes millions of dollars, is married, has a beautiful wife, beautiful child, so on and so forth. And but at the same time, it just seems like he gets such bad fucking luck. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, on one hand, his life is great, and on the other hand, you get to this position where you have a chance, and like this happens. I just feel so bad for him,
Yeah, I mean, every year something like this has happened. The only year he wasn't injured in the playoffs was the year that Ben was, and then Joel threatened to slap the shit out of Shake in the bubble.
Yeah.
Which honestly, that would have been a great year for Joel to be injured. Would have been an ideal, rather than getting swept by the Celtics. Like, that would have been a nice time for it to happen. Instead, it didn't. It happened every other year. And these aren't injuries like, it's not like, it's the knee again, or it's the foot again, or it's the lower back again. That's just, he can't get. It's like, these are just very unfortunate injuries you get for playing that many minutes as hard as Joel plays. And guys, targeting you with their elbow. Let's talk about this. We can talk about the Siakam part and the Doc part in a bit, but yeah, I feel you feel bad for Embiid. You feel bad for ourselves. As Sixers fans, there was a good day. Phil's swept. Sixers advance. Eagles had a couple nice moves.
Traded for AJ.
Immediately, Phillies get no hit, and Embiid's out for most of the series. And at least initially, the Eagles were taking a backup center in the second round, which is fine. It's a really unfortunate thing for a team that couldn't get going with Ben out, and then finally the Harden trade happened, and it coalesced a little bit, and they don't have much time to bring it together. And it was like, can we get that hamstring right? Can its explosiveness come back? Tobias was looking like a friggin', troll. And then finally everything, Harden seems like a little healthier. Tobias is playing the best basketball of his Sixers life. Maxi's confident in the shot. Embiid has the thumb, but we can work through it. Matisse's vaccination status isn't going to matter going forward, and it's okay, we advanced. This is a tough Miami team, but one that it seems
they could win.
The Sixers can match up against really nicely, and finally advance to the conference finals for the first time since 2001. And then it's just fuck, man. What did any of us do to deserve this? It's brutal. So you look at it. Let's talk about. I don't blame. Should he have been in the game? Probably not.
Yeah,
probably
but
not. In the cold light of day, probably
pod,
not.
But on the pod, we were saying they've blown leads. I can't. There's so many things to blame Doc Rivers for, and just it happening right before he probably would have come out anyway in a game. I can't. I'm
not blaming him so much, but you can look at it in the cold light of day and be probably didn't need to be in there up 29 with under 4 to go, and it was getting chippy. I said it on the last pod, the kind of thing of well, you just fucking close it out and let's not take any chances and blah blah blah. But you can leave everybody else in and take Joel out. But these are the kinds of things you run the risk of. I mean, this obviously could have happened in the first quarter of any game, and it's just whatever. But it's another in a long line of examples of how fragile this thing is, of how when you have an opportunity, you got to be as careful with it as possible. He probably shouldn't have been in. I'm not going to blame him that much, but you can look at it and go well, he didn't. Things were starting to get chippy after the airplane, and people were pissed. And It's unfortunate. 99 times out of 1,000. I don't want to say 99 times out of 1,000.
Wow, that's terrible percentage.
That's a few. It's few odds. Not that really good. But most of the time, it would have been fine, and he's just okay, and he keeps him moving, and they take him out with like 3:30 to go, and it's nothing. He just happened to catch an elbow from a guy that was pissed off, and that was definitely trying to get physical. Did he want to like injure him? No, I don't think Siakam wanted to injure him. I think he's a friend of his. I think they're like respect each other. They both play tough, but like it was an elbow. He threw an elbow intentionally in game. And how many times has Joel done that and gotten like a flagrant foul call and like retribution from like, all this scolding from announcers and fans and everybody being pissed, and like there wasn't even the foul was on Joel on the floor. And they overturned it to be like, look, calling it a flagrant wouldn't have made a difference. But I have such an issue with flagrant foul calls in the system. It's so inane. It's wildly stupid, and nonsensical. And for one where like this was a very clear flagrant call. They didn't even call it a flagrant, and now he's out for most of the series. Anyway, it wouldn't have made a difference whatsoever. But it's just another example of how stupid officiating is.
It just doesn't matter. To your point, like take away the foul call part of it. Like Embiid throws out like it's basketball, right? And unless Siakam did something explicitly, we've all seen explicitly dirty stuff, and then we've seen rough basketball stuff, and I think this falls into the second one. And I don't, I personally don't give a shit. Like, I don't need to go find the Raptors broadcast to find out what they said to like shame them. I understand we're all frustrated, right? You want to find some fucking Raptors fan who tweeted the good, none of this matters. What matters is that he's going to miss part of the Miami series, potentially more, seems like more, feels like more. At a certain point, you have to protect Embiid, the future of his fucking face. I don't know the severity of the injury, but broken orbital bone sounds fucking terrible. Concussion and orbital bone sounds terrible for a guy who already has torn ligaments in his thumb. It's just, I don't know.
No, it sucks. I think everyone's just going through their own version of the grief of this, of like anger and frustration, and going like, well, maybe it could have been this, and if this had been prevented, blah, blah, blah. But just like, this just fucking sucks, and everybody's going through it in their own way. And I can't fault people for being pissed off at Raptors fans who were just like fucking weird the whole series. Like, just mostly very bizarre. I mean, going forward, we are in the Greg Monroe world once again. Here we are.
Except it's B-ball Paul. So the fouls might be a problem.
Now the fouls will be a problem. Absolutely. I think Doc's going to start DeAndre. I think he's going to start DeAndre Jordan.
Well, hold on. Before we get to the Miami series itself, I did look at the odds went from, we talked about the odds on DraftKings before the injury, and I think the Heat were minus 160 or something like that, and the Sixers were plus 125 to win the series. So it's the Heat are clearly the odds makers do think that Embiid's missing significant time. So the Heat are minus 390. The Sixers are plus 295 to win the series, and then the championship odds, the Sixers are the worst available at plus 3,000. And to win the conference, they are plus 1,100. Celtics at plus 125, Heat at plus 160. If you sign up for DraftKings using RTRS, which is our promo code, bet $5 on any team to win, maybe even the Sixers, and get $150 in free bets if they do. The DraftKings is an official sports betting partner of the NBA. And we will have our same game parlays, which, oh my God, maybe we'll get a B-ball Paul one, the same game parlay. Anyway, and if you place the same game parlay with 3 or more legs, you get a free bet to back it up to $25. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code RTRS. Bet $5 on any NBA team to win their game. Get $150 in free bets if they do. That's promo code RTRS. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. You think he's going to start Jordan, huh? Well, because Jesus Christ, I can't believe we're going to start DeAndre Jordan a fucking playoff game.
I think 100% they're going to start DeAndre Jordan. I feel like
I
wildly
can't
confident.
believe it. Oh my God.
We're doing the podcast now before there's any, Doc hasn't spoken to the media or anything, so maybe it changes. But right now it seems like he doesn't trust B-Ball Paul to not foul. He might be right, like in that sense. I would rather start Charles Bassey, but unclear if he's healthy.
What is going on?
And Doc doesn't particularly like him anyway, it seems. There's a chance we see some Millsap just to stretch the floor a little bit, but
God, I can't believe you're saying these things.
They'll try to
out
go
loud.
to some like small ball lineup with Tobias and Niang
God.
and Matisse and stuff. It's not good. Like it's not good.
Believe you're saying these.
It isn't good. There's not. In this case, there isn't a good option.
No,
There just isn't, because B-Ball Paul, God love him, is going to foul too much to play more than 25 minutes a game.
yeah,
He's going to. And I love him for it. And it's not, a lot of it's not his fault. It's because the refs are prejudiced against weirdness. But yeah, it's not good. And let's just say Andre Drummond, who we talked about last podcast, is bad still and was unplayable in the playoffs. And maybe it would be better to have him than the other options here. Your situation, your DeAndre Jordan situation. We got a B-Ball Paul tweet up here. If I act a little distant, it's because I'm focused on the green. I got that. Me too, B-Ball. But yeah, I think it's gonna be a compilation of just weird, bad options. There's not good. And the thing that
we started this, by the way. We started this, 10 years ago with the attempt to, build this is the way to build a championship. And we've done podcasts like, yeah, Greg Monroe is out of the league. He's starting at center. Oh, DeAndre Jordan should be out of the league. He's starting at center. Oh, Paul Millsap. Yeah, the Nets didn't even put him on the court for 2 months. He's going to play some center.
Yeah, he will.
What the fuck are we?
Yeah,
B-Ball Paul played 300 minutes all season. He's going to play center. Oh my God.
And I get the idea. I think Daryl might have said this, whether it was on our podcast when we had him on or something, I forget. But like the idea of being like, hey, a backup center it's not that important. Backing up your best player, like if he's out, you're probably screwed anyway. But this is the kind of situation where, well, he's not out for the year.
We don't think.
He could come back at some point. As soon as it happened, and I was taking the trash out, and it was like it took me like 45 minutes to take the trash out because I was just looking at my phone, and just like leaning against the wall, and just like sitting down. It was a really long trash situation, and I got a sort of bolt of clarity that I think what's going to happen is he will rush back for Game 4, which means to me they have to win one of the first 3.
They have to. I almost think they have to win game.
They kind of have to win Game 1. Yeah.
Game 1. Yeah. Because
if they can steal Game 1, and then even if they lose the next 2, I think Embiid comes back Game 4, and maybe he's wearing the mask. Fan of the process once again. Get the old artifact that Justice Winslow stepped on in the previous Miami series. I think they would be able to, depending on how healthy he is, survive it. But that's
this is a tough putt. This is a tough putt.
It's very difficult.
To your point about Game 1, I think emotionally you would hope. Well, okay, they steal Game 1 emotionally. You talk yourself into as a team. All right, now we're in position to extend this series long enough for Joel to come back. I think also you hope that emotionally the Sixers come into Game 1 not defeated, but with the attitude of AU's ridiculous post this morning that predicted the Sixers will win in 6 because AU's not a coward, and it's very internet brain post from AU, but I love it. But hopefully they come into it and they're just like, they wrap their arms around the underdog thing and try to get that first game. But if they get obliterated in that first game, then that's crushing. They're down 3-0, obviously. I don't even think you can bring Embiid back for the fourth game.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they would or not. Yeah, I could see a world where they go down 2-0 and then home to Philadelphia, Embiid rings the bell, game 3. And
We're just
then maybe
doing
you steal one
reruns.
We're
just doing reruns.
It works.
Yeah.
Maybe you can steal one, but yeah, it'd be really nice to steal game 1 and just have a little bit of like, okay, we can breathe for a second. But it's tough. I mean, Miami's a fucking good team. They're the best team in the East in the regular season for a reason. And the Sixers have never been good without Joel Embiid. But now it becomes like, hey, James Harden, got any more juice in that? I can see the little Capri Sun is pretty squished down to the bottom. Can you just wring a little more juice out of that thing, bud? Just a little bit of
maybe. Just get.
And then Maxey has to be not a child, which is tough because he's so young and inexperienced, and it's been great and kicked ass in game 6, but need him to be like wildly consistent, and Tobias has to keep being Tobias. And I'm worried that Tobias is going to be like, time for my post ups. Let's go back.
Toby
baby.
time.
Like, I hope it's not. I really hope it's not. I really hope it's not.
Time.
Tobias, like we've got to such a good place, bud. We really did. We really did. So I'm worried that he's going to be like, it's time for me to like try to move PJ Tucker in the post. I'm just going to like back into this brick wall a couple times. And then take a contested 16-footer. But
how many cortisone shots do you think they could put into Harden's hamstring? Just like 3 a game. Maybe.
Whatever it takes.
Yeah.
Whatever it takes. They have the money. They can afford it. And then the other thing, like, look, the series is a series. I think it makes sense to do the thing being like, you got to protect Joel long term. You got to make sure he's okay. You got to make sure there's no further injury. I obviously don't fucking know what further injury orbital bone shit is. I think we had my dad on, who's an optometrist, last time Joel broke his orbital bone. And look, I love my dad. One of the most boring podcasts anyone's ever done.
He was particularly verbose, I think.
Here's medical stuff. I don't fucking care. Like his eye can cave in. I guess that's bad. It seems like it's less bad because he doesn't have to have surgery on it, which he did the last time. I don't know. The other thing I was talking to, so I get the idea of like wanting to protect him, but also it's like, you just never, this is the best year of Embiid's career. He had the best season of his career. He's in his prime. He is a thumb and a face are important, but they're not as important as a lower back and knees and a feet kind of thing. And it seems like Embiid in those areas is doing.
You don't think face and eye would be up there?
I don't.
Super important. No,
I don't.
Depth perception.
I think look, it's all important. I'm not saying it's not important. I'm just saying like on the ranking of like injuries you don't want your 7'2" center to have, I would put them behind any lower body injury and even a back thing, which he's obviously struggled with before. So I feel, I don't know. I'm just bargaining right now. But the point I'm trying to make is like, and I'm sure Embiid feels this also. Like, you just don't know how long this thing's going to go. Like his career, his prime, him feeling in good shape, him playing at this high of a level. And I'm not saying to like throw him out there if he's injured or whatever, but like there is a time where Embiid, if he's fine enough and he feels like he's ready to do it, like I think he feels the idea that if I can go, I'm going to go. Sure. And that will be a little bit of, maybe it will be a little bit reckless. Maybe it would possibility of re-injure, whatever it is. But then you have a whole offseason to figure it out and get him healthy and stuff. I think he's going to be like, he's finally got a guy who can dribble and shoot. He's got 2 guys who can dribble and shoot now. Let's capitalize on that. He's playing MVP level. It would be hard. It would be hard for me as the medical staff or the decision maker to be like, if Joel feels good enough, like, let's throw a little bit of caution into the wind. And maybe I wouldn't have said that years ago, but now it's like, I want this for Joel. I want this for us. Like, if he feels good enough to go, I think you let him go.
Well, let's hope they can steal game one. The line on that was bouncing between 4.5 and 4 before the injury. I believe it's like 9 now. Let me look.
Yeah.
Sixers are plus 8.5.
The other thing, I was texting with Zoe about it, and he made the point that like if they lose this series now, it won't be damning evidence enough for Doc Rivers to no longer be here as a coach.
I think Doc is gone unless they win a title
of his
or
own
get to the
volition,
finals.
or of
I think
the
it's a
organization?
I think it will be an agreement. I just that's my vibe. It's been my vibe, by the way, since almost before the season, that this is the last year he's going to be here. I just don't think he's going to be here next year. And I think if he can find a soft landing spot, like with the Lakers, which would be hilarious to watch from afar, something like that will happen. My gut tells me he's not going to be here next year. Just gut,
Yeah,
though.
maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. God, this fucking sucks.
It's just it's always something.
It's always something.
They literally ran out of stuff. So it's just like
redoing it.
Yeah. Ooh, this is like back when I watched sitcoms years ago, it was always the worst feeling when you think it's a new episode and it's one of those episodes. Seinfeld did this every once in a while where they just show like clips. Yeah. Like just a bunch of clips. I feel like we're in that part of it now. We're just like,
which, by the way, I wish we still did clip shows. You still get paid for it. You don't have to. It's just.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's the best.
Wow.
The editor just comes together with some clips of things. Here's some funny things. You set like the very light story that like flashes you back. God,
yeah.
Glory days. That would have been nice. Nice to get paid off of that episode. So yeah, this is just like being a Sixers fan. This is just like what it is to like travel through the desert, wandering around Egypt. Like our people, Jews and Sixers fans, we're all the same. We're all. If you're a Sixers fan, you're an honorary Jew. I'm declaring it. And just like feeling like you're gonna step on a fucking weird nail in the desert and be like, how could there be a nail here? We're in the desert, but you step on a nail and then your foot is bleeding everywhere, and now you can't play. And this metaphor holds up.
There are a lot of fan bases that feel like, woe is me. Oh, it's always us. It's always us. There is a very special collection of fucking awful storylines over the last 9 years.
The top of the top. I think it's a combination of, it's not just futility. There's obviously a lot of fan bases that are futility, and getting into the like who's had it worst conversation is never super fun. But I think that a combination of futility and like high level collapse, and also just like devastating drama that seems wildly unnecessary and sets you back, many years and stuff. So we got all that. It'd be really cool if they won the series. It'd be really cool if B-Ball Paul was just like became like switchable Clint Capella. Like I know with Harden from like those years. Like I'm not saying like on offense it's just screening, rolling, Harden just like diagnosing everything and like getting easy lob dunks to B-Ball Paul. And then on defense, being able to switch and not have to play drop coverage the way Capella did, which Harden ended up getting frustrated by. It'd be really, really nice if that was the case. It would be
not a leap at all.
Pretty unlikely.
Yeah.
What you say?
Yeah, I was saying, not a leap at all for B-Ball Paul to become switchable 3-point shooting Clint Capella. It sounds like he fucking.
I wasn't even asking for threes. I'm not.
Okay,
I'm not pushing the envelope there. Just give me. Just keep doing what he's doing on defense. I would start bargaining with the refs right now to be like, hey, just so you know, like, is there an assistant coach out there to go to the refs and be like, so he's weird. Here's some clips of him being weird, and I just need you to like not call all these fouls. Like, just like some of them you don't have to. He's really good at like getting his hands in there, but like you just don't need to. Like, he's an odd guy. Whatever it's going to take to be like, come on, please don't do that. Please don't call those fouls. And then offensively, it's just going to be him and Harden, like pick and roll, Maxey, second side, attack, and then kick out to Toby and Danny for three. It'd be nice if they won a game. It'd be nice if they won game one.
Yeah.
It'd be nice.
It'd be really nice.
But, Not in a good place. Not in a good place. Tough to be here. Tough for everybody. Sad for everybody. Sad for us. But this is what it's about, guys.
This is what you signed up for. Believe it or not, this is what you signed up for.
10-9-8, 76ers.
76ers.
This is New Philadelphia, same as the old Philadelphia.
We'll talk to you Monday night. I'm sorry we had to do an emergency podcast. They're just be aware they're never good.
I love Joel. I hope he's okay.
Yeah.
I hope he's mentally okay and knows how much us friggin' freaks give a shit out about him. You know?
We'll talk to you Monday night. Are you done with TTP?
Yeah, you know, like I said.